and welcome to LawSikho's thorough newspaper analysis for the 28th of May 2023. So today we have one editorial article which has been taken from the Indian Express and is titled Model Prisons Act 2023. Now this is the guidance document. It has been brought out by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and this has been made such that the states and the union territories will form their own legislations around prisons based on this enactment. Now, for the second and the third segment of today, we will be having the news update and the legal news. So, in today's article about Model Prisons Act 2023, how it differs from the existing laws and why its need was felt. This article is in the news because the Ministry of Home Affairs announced that it has prepared a Model Prisons Act 2023 to replace the existing 130-year-old colonial law that governed these prisons. Now, this new enactment has sought to introduce technology in prison management, regulate parole, furlough, and remission, while introducing special provisions for female and trans inmates. Now, the question may arise like, why was the need of such a legislation felt? Like, is it just to, wipe away the signs of colonial rule of India? Well, for the initiated people of you who are aware about the recent happenings in prisons, this enactment has been brought forward by the Ministry of Home Affairs in order to arrest, the spate of killings and gang violence that have been happening within prisons. Now, throughout movies, we do know that there exists gangs and favorites inside the jails. However, the recent murder of Tillu Tajupriya inside the Tihar jail has forced the government to come forward and think about the safety of the inmates who are inside these prisons. Also, the Home Minister, while speaking at the inauguration of the 6th All India Prison Duty Meet 2022 in Ahmedabad, had announced that changes in the prison law were already in the works while calling for rehabilitative view of prisoners and jails. Now, as we do know that when we talk of prisons in the Indian judicial context, we refer to them as corrective homes. There needs to be some sort of a rehabilitative view while these laws are being drafted. The Home Minister also said that India's incarceration system was prone to abuse as it was set up by the British to subjugate political prisoners. Now, this is true. If we look into the Prisons Act of 1894, we see that whipping was prevalent then, as long as it did not exceed 30 strikes. So the entirety of the Prisons Act was not made in a manner in which the prisoners would be brought back to the society, given a due chance in their life. They were meant to be brought into prisons and then crushed. All sort of like dissent would be crushed. So that is not what the Indian judicial system or the entirety of the Indian federal structure stands on. And hence the prisons being corrective measures, like homes for corrective measures, would need to acquire certain rehabilitative and correctional values inside its system. So in a similar vein, the MHA statement from the 12th of May said that the Pre-Independence Prisons Act of 1894 focused on keeping criminals in custody and enforcing discipline and order in prisons, leaving no provision for reform and rehabilitation of them. So this brings forward the question that what are the new provisions? Now, the Act seeks to create provisions that encourage good conduct within the inmates. It also aims to provide separate accommodation for women and transgender inmates to ensure physical and mental well-being. Now, the bill also seeks to create transparency in prison management and include security assessment, segregation of prisoners, individual sentence planning, grievance redressal, prison development board, and setting up of high security jails for hardened criminals. Now, especially one of the more novel approaches of this particular enactment is that it takes into consideration that some criminals out there are hardened criminals, and the society, despite all of its corrective measures and all of its well wishes, have to be protected from these hardened criminals, and hence separate facilities need to be made to house them. So, what were the earlier laws and whether this enactment is actually binding? Now, this is an entirely different sort of a question. We generally understand that when the center brings forward an enactment, it is binding upon the states. However, in this part, we will see whether or not it is binding, and if not, then why. So the previous act, Prisons Act 1894, did not have any provisions for reformation and rehabilitation and allowed whipping for 30 strikes. Moreover, the act did not apply for civil jails in the state of Bombay, outside the city of Bombay, and all those jails that were administered under the provisions of Section 9 to Section 16 of the Bombay Act of 1874. Now, at present, jail manuals of each state deal with the administration and management of prisons. This is because, according to the Indian Constitution, the subject matter of prison management falls under the state list. So the question that arises is that is the central government actually the right authority to come forward and bring a legislation, hoping that all the states would agree to this? Well, the central government knows of this, and in their statements, they have stated that it is critical that efficient measures are implemented in prison management to ensure a robust prison system. And this is the reason why the Model Prisons Act of 2023 will be a guidance document for the states and UTs to model their respective legislations around. So with this, we move on to the news updates for the day. Firstly, we have Asian Development Bank in India signs a $141.12 million loan for industrial corridor development in Andhra Pradesh. The Asian Development Bank and Indian government have recently signed a loan agreement worth $141.12 million to support and development of high quality internal infrastructure in Andhra Pradesh. The funding will be utilized for the construction of roads, water supply systems, and an electricity distribution network in three industrial clusters within the state. This loan is part of the larger multi-tranche financing facility approved by ADB in 2016 to enhance infrastructure in the Visakhapatnam and Srikalahasti Chittur nodes of Andhra Pradesh. Secondly, we have Indian Army and IAF conduct joint exercise along western borders. Indian Army Shatrujit Brigade and the Western Command conducted a joint exercise in synergy with the Indian Air Force along the western borders to deploy paratroopers with the new generation weapon systems in support of mechanized forces deep inside enemy territory to facilitate and enhance the operational reach of their own forces. C-130J Super Hercules, C-17 Globemaster, and AN-32 aircrafts were used to insert troops and specialized equipment into designated areas in the obstacle-ridden terrain with clinical precision. Thirdly, we have the inauguration of the new parliament. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the new parliament building on the 28th of May, that is on Sunday. The high priests of 21 Adhinams from Tamil Nadu consecrated the Sengol and handed it over to the Prime Minister, who carried it in a ceremonial procession to the new parliament building and installed it on the right side of the Lok Sabha Speaker's chair. The Lok Sabha chamber has 888 seats, which can accommodate 1,272 members during a joint sitting of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The upper house chamber has 384 seats. Now, for the international news of the day, South Korea launches homegrown space rocket Nuri. The domestically made space rocket delivered a commercial grade satellite into orbit for the first time. Among 8 satellites aboard the rocket, the main commercial grade satellite made contact with the base station in Antarctica after successfully separating from the space vehicle. Secondly, we have International Day of Women's Health. International Women's Health Day, also known as International Day of Action for Women's Health, is dedicated to women raising awareness about their right to health and is celebrated every year on the 28th of May. The day was established in 1987 by the African government. Next up, we have the Menstrual Hygiene Day. The Menstrual Hygiene Day is an annual awareness day celebrated on 28th of May to highlight the importance of good menstrual hygiene management, MHM, at a global level. It was initiated by the German-based NGO Wash United in 2013 and observed for the first time in 2014. The day aims to advocate for the integration of menstrual hygiene management into global, national, and local policies and programs. For the legal updates of today, non-signatory defendants cannot be exposed to arbitration under Section 8 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. Now, the Karnataka High Court in the case of Town Essentials Private Limited versus JD Ninja Delivery Services Private Limited has held that non-signatory defendants cannot be exposed to arbitration under Section 8 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act by allowing the dispute to be referred to arbitration. The bench of Justice Srinivas Harish Kumar held that when the cause of action against all the defendants is stated to be the same, it cannot be bifurcated so to allow arbitration proceedings of against few of the defendants and continuation of the suit against others, as it would lead to multiplicity of the proceedings and delay in adjudication. So this was all for today. For free study materials and TNA PDF sites, please join our Telegram channel, the link of which you can find in the description, or you can always scan the barcode that is given on your screen. Don't forget to subscribe our channel on YouTube to stay updated with the current with the thorough newspaper analysis as they come up every day. Thank you.